Howdy world, welcome to the RC Air Experience, episode 36. I was absent in the last one, happy to be back, and we have a fantastic guest today, Fitz Walker from Hobby View. Hobby View is, Anthony can pull this up a little bit later, but the YouTube page. Fitz, I'll be honest, I actually had no idea that your page existed.
Story of my life.
First time that I'm kind of meeting you and seeing your page and all that kind of stuff. So I did a little bit of digging here before we get going.
Oh,
and it looks like you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, for a minute.
I see your first videos are like about 10 years ago-ish kind of thing.
Yeah, I think my 10th year anniversary was last year, as a matter of fact,
Nice.
early last year or something like that. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's I'm gonna have to take some time and scroll through your page. It's you got like 300 and something videos, 328 videos. So
Holy crud, I have that many?
yeah, I know it adds up quick, doesn't it?
Oh, wow. Pretty good for a channel that
the-
started as a fluke kind of a thing.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for hopping on.
Oh,
And,
glad to be here.
Thank you. It's cool to have you. So, where are you located? In
I
the
am
world?
located Earth, Sol System, Sector 001.
Nice.
More specifically, I am in the great state of Texas, specifically Houston area.
Cool. Beautiful.
Yeah, I was surprised to see you at NEAT. When I know you were in Texas, and I was surprised to see you at NEAT.
Yeah, it's one of those things that me and buddies had been meaning to attend for some years. One of our friends and co-hosts at RC Roundtable, Terry, goes there all the time. And in fact, he lived in New York for a while, but he moved to Wisconsin, but he still takes a drive out there pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And that always something I always wanted to check out. And so finally was able to coordinate it with my buddies to come out there and share a cabin and have a really good time. And it was a
Nice.
fascinating event to attend.
What'd you think? I mean, you've been to all of them, right? At this point, you've been to a lot of them.
It was unique and has its very unique character to it, very own. It's unlike any flying I've ever been to before in a lot of ways, and not in a bad way. It's just really, really interesting. The field itself was a little disconcerting. There we go. I can't speak English at first because it was kind of a long strip that's nice. It appeared to be a bit narrow because you've got these trees on the opposite side, and you're like, how far are those trees? But once I had a few flights, got used to how it actually slopes back quite a bit once you're up. It wasn't a problem. So it was just, especially living here in Texas, things are really wide open. And
Yeah.
so it was totally opposite. I was having flashbacks. I actually grew up in the Northeast. And so, I know a lot of fields are like cornfields and that kind of stuff. But
Where in the Northeast?
Connecticut.
Oh, so you're a local guy.
So so it was great to go up to NEAT because I had a rental car, so I went up and visited a whole bunch of family and friends and stuff up in Connecticut,
cool.
and a little bit of Massachusetts. Went up to Cape Cod even for a bit.
Would
So I
you
stayed-
say it's similar to Ceph?
Well, it's been a long time since I've been to Ceph,
Mhm.
so my memory of Ceph is pretty old. In fact, funny you mention that. I do plan to go to Ceph this year.
Okay.
So from when I was at Ceph, trying to remember.
Atmosphere, crowd-wise.
I think Ceph felt like it had a bigger crowd, although technically I think NEAT has a bigger crowd. But I think Ceph is a little more concentrated
Right.
in the area, so it felt a little more constrained at Ceph. But it's relatively speaking, it never
Right.
felt bad. It just I liked how things were a little more spread out. You never felt like it was really, really busy at Ceph.
Yeah.
NEAT.
What does CEF stand for?
Southeast Electric Fly something, right?
Okay.
Southeast Flying Festival or
Flying Festival or something like that. Yeah.
Electric Flying.
To date me, last time I was at Ceph, they still had the hobby shop on the field.
Yeah,
Which
that's
apparently-
an event that I want to make it to. It's good for people say it's kind of like a smallish Joe Noel type of scene.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe a little. It's electric only, of course. People are not familiar with Ceph.
Right.
It's just south of Atlanta, Georgia. I forgot the name of the town, but it is very nice and it's very well laid out. At least when I was there, a friend of mine went there a couple years ago. And he had a lot of good things to say about it. It was just something, if you're going to need a lot, just think of something a little smaller, a little more open. It doesn't have the mountains around it, so it's more flat. It was grass
The
field.
trees are scary when you first start flying at Neat, and then
Yeah. Yeah, you're like,
they're tall, John. So Neat's at the bottom of like a basin. It's in the bottom of a valley.
Yeah.
So like on either side of you, like so you have like the flying field, like he's talking about. It's kind of long and narrow. It's super long, like
Yeah.
but it's kind of like narrow, and you can't really fly over the tents and stuff because that's where all the people and trailers and everything are, right? So you don't want to fly over there. So your other option is if you make a wide turn, you're kind of going by or over the trees,
Yeah.
and you're at the bottom, so it's just a wall of trees. It's like trees go like up the mountain, like it's,
Wow.
yeah, it's definitely a little nerve wracking at times, but
So Fitz, how long does it take you to get to Neat from Texas? A couple days journey?
well, we got on an airplane, so it was
Oh,
only a couple hours. We cheated. So since our buddy was driving, he said, well, I'll just bring some planes. You can fly my
Oh,
stuff.
nice. Perfect.
So we cheated and just flew out there.
Cool.
It's got this little Podunk airport that's not all that close. Neat is way out in the country. I mean, literally, you don't get cell phone service. It's so
Wow.
far out in the country. So it's a little airport to get in there, and it was a bit of just to get to the airport to the flying field was a bit of I think an hour drive or something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
So it's
Cool.
way out there. But I was not sorry I went. It was great. It's one of those things that there's half the fun is the shenanigans that people do there at night.
it's a good time.
When I first got there, I think it was like Wednesday night, and almost immediately I come across this guy dressed as Doc Smith from Back to the Future. Is that right?
Oh,
Doc
yeah.
Smith? And he's got this big booming voice. Hey, quick, Marty, we gotta go. He's got the wig and everything else. Like, who the heck is this guy? Turns out it was Tom Hunt, the main guy who came up and runs the event.
Oh, wow.
And they had some sort of 80s night that they were doing. So a whole bunch of people are dressed up as all kinds of stuff from
Yeah.
the 80s. And they were, let's just say they had plenty of liquid refreshments in different tents as you're going along. I literally
you
had
know
one
what?
guy, what's that?
They do wait. I will say for the most part, most people wait until the nighttime for the liquid refreshments. Like,
It was seemed to be two modes. There was the nighttime shenanigans, and then there
Right.
was the daytime no nonsense. They ran the flight line like a well-oiled machine, and if
Yeah.
you got out of line, they had the hook to pull you back on the flight line. They ran that. That was like you wanted to call people, yo, yes sir, you've been flying for more than so many minutes, or you stepped over the line, or this that. So it was sort of a dichotomy of two personalities at the field. So it was really well-oiled, well-run, like a finely tuned ship.
Nice.
It was nicely split out. They had all kinds of stuff going on. It was sometimes hard to really get everything because you'd be at one end watching some people fly, and you'd say at the other end, oh, you missed the carrier event. They had this giant RC carrier on the ground that they were trying to do landings on, or you missed some sort of bottle event, or they were doing the combat, which was really I liked how they did the combat. That was really neat. I'd never seen a combat done like they did it. So there was a lot going on. So it's a great event. Everybody should go at least once. It's different. It's also neat for me living in the South. I go to a lot of events in the South, and it's rare that I get to go sort of a completely different demographic. The Northeast, you've got the New York accents going on. How you doing? And you got a totally different group of people and modelers and personalities, and almost a slightly different culture, I would say, in a way, just because of the geolocation of it and that kind of stuff. So it was great to hang out with those guys. They were all great. Had a great time meeting some people. Some people knew who I was. Some people had no idea who I was. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I hunted you down. I heard you were there. So first,
Oh, did you? Oh, stalker, huh? Okay.
yeah. First you had a doppelganger there,
Yeah.
and I went up to the doppelganger, and he was like, "Why does everybody keep calling me Fitz? Keep calling me Fitz?" I
That's
swear, the two of them together, they look like it's
Yeah.
It's
that was Wayne from Tough Jets.
yeah.
So I ended up actually at the end of the show, actually hunting him down. Speaking of stalking, I got to find out who is this guy. And it was Wayne, super nice guy. I think he's out of Maine, and he runs a Tough Jets company. He actually since he says said, hey, come back a little while. You can fly one of my jets. I said, well, okay. So he let me fly one of his tough jets. I actually got it on video. I have a short video of me flying it around. And I liked it so much, I ordered one from him. Actually, I got two, one for me and one for my buddy.
Nice.
And so I haven't put it together yet. It's over there in a box somewhere. My buddy Lee started putting his together already, the little weenie. So it's great to meet him, to meet my quote-unquote doppelganger.
There's some striking similarities. You guys are pretty close. It's
a little bit. What'd you see? We did, yeah. We have a picture together somewhere. Once we're together, we're not so close, but yeah. But yeah, it was great to meet him. He had a neat plane. He had a scratch built. I always forget the name of the thing. It's got a weird name, XV1. You ever remember the old show, The $6 Million Man? You ever watch that as reruns as a kid? Bionic Man. So in the beginning of the show, in the intro, they show him crashing an airplane. That was a real airplane that crashed. It was a lifting body aircraft. And miraculously, the pilot survived. But he made an RC model of that he was going to try to fly. I didn't see him try to fly. But if you ever see one, basically it's like a cone. Take a cone, slice it in half, put a little stabilizers on it, and that's your plane.
Huh.
There's no wings per se on it. It's just a complete lifting body.
Designs. A couple of guys have tried the lifting body designs on YouTube and dropped them from planes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they did. The ones that you saw, they were gliders. They just dropped them off of a big plane and glided them down. But they worked for the most part. And they were, in a way, a precursor to the space shuttle. They use a lot of the stuff they learned from that to design the space shuttle.
We're talking about that. So Fitz, we went crazy off the rails right from the beginning, and that's awesome. I love it.
Sorry.
No, it's
great.
That's great.
Squirrel.
We went right into it. But I've been following. John may not have watched you or follow you, and there's jet guys that John knows about that. It's part of the hobby. That's why we did this, actually, to kind of. That's why it's the RCR experience. I come from the foam, the FPV side. John comes from the high-end jet and that side. So the idea of the podcast was bring all of the sides together.
We'll have to talk about jets on the show.
And share. But so I've been following you for a long time. So when I was doing my research for the podcast, it's actually very interesting. We're talking about NASA and stuff. And I'm going to share this really quick.
NASA. What is this NASA you speak of? I don't know anything.
Yeah, right. He's being humble right now.
Need another set of scared astronauts?
Look at that young guy right there.
No! How did you find that?
You can find anything on the internet. Buddy.
I am quite impressed with your level of waifu, young grasshopper.
So I didn't know you worked at NASA. That's pretty cool.
I do, yes. And that is an old picture. I got to change that.
So you're still currently with NASA?
I'm still currently at NASA. We're working on a big project. In fact, I'm about to go on a long trip to go meet with some of our international partners to talk about some NASA stuff. So yeah,
I know Rami's working on some stuff for. I think it's for NASA. I remember seeing one of his videos that he came out with. He's working on a scaled down model. I think it's for you guys.
Oh, really? Is that Rami? Is that from Rami RC?
Yeah.
I never met him, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of different NASA divisions. Yeah. So I work at the Johnson Space Center, which is mainly manned spacecraft, what it used to be called. There's different divisions that specialize in space probes or aerodynamics and that kind of stuff. So there is actually a group in California that work out at Edwards. It used to be called what was it called? Dryden, but now it's called an Armstrong, I believe. And there's actually a group of guys and maybe some women, but that their job is to build models.
Huh.
They build RC models of whatever they can think of. Somebody at NASA says, what if we had a plane that had like one wing on one side and nothing on the other side or something like that? And they're like, well, we can build a model, see if it flies. Oh, okay, well, let's do that.
So it says your bio, that bio I read says you're a test engineer. What is that?
I used to be a test engineer. So yeah, like I said, bio's out of date. But so that test engineer is basically an engineer that tests stuff. Okay. Just like it sounds. We have something, if we've got a new product or new design or new something, we have to develop a test schedule to be able to ensure that it performs just like it's going to perform like up in space or whatever under real conditions. So we had to develop test scenarios, we had to hook up test equipment, facilities, that kind of stuff to make sure that we have what we call high fidelity testing, or sometimes called flight like testing. And so we sometimes I've gone into clean rooms, sometimes I've gone into labs where things are wired up using actual equipment and actual conditions to make sure they work. But I don't do that anymore.
Your bio says that you've been in this hobby since you were about 10 years old.
Roughly, yes. Real quick before I forget that. Yeah. So the bio you showed was one of the things I do on occasion, Engines of Ingenuity. I don't know if you've read anything about that. That is they say it's syndicated, but the local public radio station has a sort of 3-minute series daily of science and technology, vignettes, small stories that was created by Professor Lienhardt. He started it, and and then he started, as he's kind of pushed back a little bit away from it now, he's kind of semi-retired. So he has other people do these stories on stuff. And so I occasionally do some 3-minute audio recordings on various stuff about science, technology, or whatever. So if you buried in there, you can look down. I think you do a search by author. You see my name. I have about a dozen different episodes I've done on various stuff. You can listen online.
Yeah.
And so that's where you found that profile. They said, write something about yourself. And I'm terrible about writing myself. And at the time, that was some years ago, I was a test engineer. Now I am a safety engineer. So I help prevent things from blowing up and killing people.
Do you get to test blowing stuff up? Because that's pretty cool.
I don't get to blow stuff up, unfortunately. No, that's called destructive testing, and it sounds like fun. I wish I could do that, but no. Mine is to test stuff and design stuff so it doesn't blow up. Unfortunately, gotcha. So at least not on purpose. So to answer your question, to go back,
so 10 years old, right?
Roughly 10. I started. I had a parallel path. As a kid, I did a lot of plastic models, which I still do. I love plastic models, building those.
I see that sometimes.
Yeah, I've done a few things related to that on the channel, but I just went to a plastic model show, bought a bunch of plastic models I shouldn't have bought. So I had a stepfather that was a modeler, at least in his youth. And so I guess in his way to bond with me at the time, he got me introduced to control line models, since he did control line at the time. He wasn't into RC, but he had done a lot of control line when he was younger. Mm-hmm. And so I remember having those Cox PT-19 things and whatnot. And so we go out to the schoolyard and fly these control line stuff.
Spin around in circles.
Yeah, and so I kept up with it, and I always liked that stuff. But I always wanted, my heart was always RC. We go to the hobby shop and say, when RC play, let's get that. He was like, no. So I always had interest. I did, one Christmas, I got my wish came true and I got an RC car, a Tamiya RC car, one of the ones you build. And so I like to build stuff. And so this was like heaven. I built this RC car, I got all the stuff for it, put together, ran the heck out of it. And then always enjoyed that. And then I became a chocolate lover in a chocolate store where this local hobby shop that I would go to and buy random things and get planes. One day the owner was bemoaning that he had lost one of his employees and that kind of stuff. And I said, hey, well, I'm available. He was like, all right, well, come in on the weekend. We'll see how you do. And the rest was history. Cool. So I worked at a hobby shop for several years, and that was awesome. I learned a lot of stuff, met some great people. I'm still owner to the hobby shop owner today, even though he doesn't have the shop anymore. But we became really good friends. And I've worked at a couple other hobby shops between going to school and whatnot, finding myself in life. And so I've always been in the hobby since I was a little kid, in and out. By the time I got to high school and were the job, especially at the hobby shop, because I finally had a job and I got a discount on stuff. So I really started to get into RC planes at that time. I was finally able to afford some of this stuff and build them. I skipped ahead a little bit. In middle school-ish, I built a lot of those Gillows rubber band powered planes.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Those were cheap fun. I would go ride my bike down to the mall, to the hobby shop or whatever, buy a Gillows kit for a few bucks and go hibernate in the basement, and build these little gillos, stick things, stick in tissue with rubber band powered, and that kind of stuff. So I built a lot of those. So when I visually went to model airplanes and build kits, it wasn't a big deal for me to build a kit. So my first RC airplane that I built was a General Lady glider that I eventually put an 049 power pod on it, and basically taught myself to fly with that.
Wow, that's awesome. Did that lead you to get into, like, you were just like, I'm set on aviation, I want to get into NASA and stuff? Like, did that lead you to your love of flight, basically?
Yes. The model airplanes, yes, they were definitely the gateway drug for me really getting into airplanes in general, aircraft. I loved airplanes ever since, as a kid. I don't know if I would have, ever since as a kid, the control line model airplanes I found fascinating. I like that. I like technology. I like stuff like that. So that, the plastic models too, and I always, for some reason, gravitated towards the aircraft. I never was really big into cars or boats per se, but aircraft I thought was really neat, probably because I was flying that kind of stuff. And it led me into just being a big sponge about aircraft stuff. I'd read books about it. I'd read encyclopedias. I order an encyclopedia, immediately go to the airplane section and learn about the airplanes. I loved airplanes, learning about them, reading about them, and shows about them, movies. So I became a real diehard airplane nerd, and that also got me really interested in aviation history as well. So in particular, World War II history, no surprise, but I do have a pretty good appreciation for World War I history, Vietnam, history in general of aircraft, Wright brothers. I remember as a pretty young reading a book on the Wright brothers. And I thought that was a really cool, just to see how they started, flying and that kind of stuff. So
it is. Cool. I've read some stuff about them, and it's a really cool story.
It is, and they took. What's interesting is many people may not realize is they took a really good engineering approach to the airplanes. They didn't just say, we're just going to throw some stuff together and good luck, have fun. They pinged everybody they could. There was some quote unquote aviation experts at the time, which they really weren't, but at the time they were basically aviation experts. I forgot the names. I don't know if it wasn't Goddard, but there was a few names you probably have heard of that were at the time. They studied birds, and then they actually came up with a wind tunnel to study airfoils. And they a lot of experimentation. They couldn't find an engine powerful enough, so they built their own. Yep. They had a guy that was just a mechanical genius that we're just going to build our own lightweight engine because we can't find anything light enough. They did propeller analysis and design. They did all kinds of stuff, working out control theory. Even though the Wright planes were barely controllable, but still they were
and
controllable.
They always flew like a very
It's the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard, somebody made a replica of the Wright Flyer that they were going to fly. I think they actually did on their anniversary, 100-year anniversary or something like that. And they did simulators and stuff. And they're like, man, this thing is like almost impossible to fly.
Is it the real plane at the Naval Academy or?
I don't know if a real one still exists, maybe in pieces. That's a good question.
They have one on display at the Navy, or maybe it's a replica, but I believe they have one at the
maybe remnants of it or something, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of replicas around and stuff. But it's still pretty amazing what they did. They started it. Yeah. It wasn't perfect, and a lot of stuff was improved on. Curtiss, I think, did a lot of improvements on aircraft design and so forth. The Europeans were really spearheading it up until post-World War I. So anyways, I'm an airplane nerd, and I told a story where I always like to talk to other airplane nerds and that kind of stuff. So
your channel kind of shows that, right? Like, so if you go through some of your stuff, it's like I know you like one particular model over another, but you have a lot of different models on your channel. Like, you kind of diversify,
Ironically, the channel helps me fulfill my aircraft ADD model.
Right.
Right. I do like a lot of different stuff. I do have some my preferences, but I'm I'm an airplane slut. I don't care what I like a lot of different things. Each aircraft is different different characteristics, have a different history, maybe just interesting performance, or just even design. You know, I didn't go to school of aircraft design, but I have appreciation and I have some osmosis knowledge of aircraft design.
What did you go to school for?
So I went to school for a weird variation of electrical engineering that was specific to aircraft. It's called avionics engineering.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things I'd like, especially growing up, was electronics. I'd like to tinker with electronics and that kind of stuff, and computers. And in high school, I was like, well, I'm going to do it myself. I like airplanes, but I like electronics. My eyes ain't great for flying. I'm partially colorblind, so I can't do all that great stuff. But I do like electronics. And I had a teacher in high school that actually came from avionics background. Said, hey, there's this avionics thing, aircraft electronic kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Got to combine the two. I get to play with electronics and play with airplanes. So originally I was really more interested in more maintenance and repair. But then I found a school in Florida that had a full 4-year degree in basically specialized form of electrical engineering for aircraft. And I really liked that. And while I was there, I got a minor in computer science because it wasn't a big jump. In the main major, there's a lot of computer related stuff. And I was looking at the catalog and says, hey, I take just like 2 or 3 extra classes. I got a minor. And I said, okay, I'll just do that too. And ironically, I'm using more of the computer stuff, way more than I ever use electronic stuff. But for my own hobby, my own tinkering, the electronic stuff has come in real handy.
Sure.
I've done some, I don't know if you saw the canine thing I did on my channel. Did you happen to come across that?
I saw that. Yeah, that was a while ago, right?
Yeah, that was a while ago. I still have them. And that was a lot of electronics and controllers and computer and stuff.
Built a robot dog, basically.
Cool. It's a replica of Canine from the old Doctor Who show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
when you said you I think in the very beginning you said your channel kind of started on accident. What's that mean?
So I had no intention of being a YouTubes. So I was talking to somebody and I said, hey, I really like this plane, but I'm having a hard time finding this particular model plane or something like that. And they're like, well, at the time did we have the podcast? I think we did. I can't remember. But anyways, they knew I was big into RC, and a friend of mine, it was sort of a mutual friend, and they said, well, hey, you can have this plane. It was a company that we were visiting and having a tour of. And I said, I really like this particular plane you have, but my hobby shop can't seem to get it. It goes, oh, well, we don't sell the hobby shop. This is kind of a direct thing. But we'll tell you what, we'll give you one of the planes. If you make a video of it, putting it together, assembling it, showing how to put it together and flying it, then you can have the plane. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's like a great deal. And I'm thinking, I don't have a YouTube channel. I never made a video. How am I going to approach this? So I said, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. Why not? You don't know till you try. If you don't try, you can't fail, or well, whatever. But so I said, at least I get the plane out of it. And if I fall on my face, at least I got the plane out of it. But being the kind of person I am, I've always had a light interest in filmmaking and filming and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't like super cold. I actually took a film class in school once. So I had some already, when you were saying that, I already had some ideas like, there's some things at the time that I saw some other YouTubers doing that I didn't quite like. There's some things that bugged me, some personal pet peeves. So I said, well, if I do my own videos, I can address those pet peeves that I can do my own video. Try to come up with a sort of, I had a rough idea how I wanted to present myself, but there's a lot of, if you look at my older videos, I'm doing a lot of experimentation. I still do a little bit, but trying to see what works, what doesn't work, what's the best way to present myself.
You've had some success lately. I mean, not lately, but so when I first started following you, I think I picked you up about 10,000 subs. You've grown the last year or two.
Yeah, I'm at over 30,000 now.
Right.
Which is pretty amazing.
Right.
So I did the video. And they liked it. They said, wow, that's really good. Here's another airplane.
Here's another one.
Why don't you do this one? And so I ended up doing a whole bunch of reviews for them. They really liked my stuff. I was surprised, like, you like my stuff? They go, yeah, it's great. So, okay. So I did their stuff for a while, and that, it was a slow growth, but the channel started growing. I remember getting 1,000 subscribers, like, I got 1,000, yeah, all right. So that's all, the simple things in life.
Yeah.
And that's the rest is history. I've had a lot of fun. I'm at the point now where, I could do some of my own reviews, but I have a lot of different vendors and companies saying, hey, would you be interested in doing this or doing that? And even doing weird stuff. I've got 3D printers and
well, but you do that. Like, your channel is, like you said. So I mean, there's a AMA profile on you too, where
you found that too.
Yeah,
man, you dug deep in art, didn't you?
And one of your lines is they were asking you about hobbies, and like you were like, my hobby is hobbies.
Yeah,
it's pretty true. Like, you've done 3D printed planes, right?
Yeah,
on your channel, you've done plastic kits, ARFs. I mean, you've done it pretty much.
I'm a hobbyist. I dabble in boats and cars. I've got a few things. I got a bunch of stuff on my short list. I gotta get it too, but I was going to do some more stuff on boats. I got a couple car restorations I wanted to do. 3D printing. I mentioned electronics. I've done a few videos on little electronic kits for kids, and that kind of Arduino and Raspberry Pi kind of stuff.
I'm looking through your channel right now, and one of your videos, Painful Fun, Vintage 1980s Dave Brown RC Flight Simulator. I need to watch that.
So, one of my other kind of hobbies is I collect vintage computers. I have a whole bunch of computers from the 1980s. Wow. So I have the Commodore 64, the Amiga, Atari, TRS-80, a few other ones. Yes, yeah. It was one of those things I didn't really attend to, but I had a couple old ones, and then they said, "Oh, you like old computers? Here, have this one." Like, okay, here, have this one. I was like, "Oh, right." And then there's a few, I picked up. There's a couple I bought.
You, like the rest of us, probably have a very understanding wife.
Yes. Fortunately, she doesn't bother me too much about it. So, keeps me home, I guess. As a kid, I always had a Commodore 64 as my main computer. And I remember going to, there was a show called the Ram Show up in New York, White Plains, New York, for quite a few years. And it was the first show, that same teacher that told me about avionics stuff was also RC modeler. And one day he said, "Hey, I'm going to this RC model show. I know you like RC models. You're welcome to come along with me and a couple of the classmates." And so me and a couple of classmates got in a car with him. We went to this model show, and man, talk about Nirvana. It was the most amazing thing to go to. This was very late 80s, just in high school. And this was so pre-internet. And so these shows they had to go to these shows to show off their wares.
Right.
And it was just beautiful. I got all kinds of swag, saw all kinds of neat planes. I actually bought an RC plane. I had $50. It's like all the money I had. And this guy had this RC airplane with a little engine on it for $50. And I bought it. And that's a whole other story of what happened to that plane. But I remember seeing Flight Simulator. First time I ever saw a flight simulator on a computer. And they had one for the Commodore 64 and for the Apple II, like the Apple II, whatever. I think it was like the early incarnations. Eventually, they had it for PC, but I don't think this was. And I thought that was the neatest thing, and I got to play with it a little bit for a few minutes. Got to fly it around. Now, of course, these are the very first RC simulators. So this is wireframe graphics, like 4 colors at the most, and you can count the frames. I mean, there's no 60 FPS. This is like 6 FPS at the most. But it was a plane. You could fly it around. It was a wireframe. Kind of hard to see the rotation sometimes, but it had little graphics on it. It tells you how high you were, how fast. I think even had retractable gear. It has this metal box as a transmitter. And I always remembered that. I said, man, I remember that for... Yeah, so I said, I wonder if I can still find one of those just for giggles. And I found one on eBay.
You found the transmitter?
I found the transmitter on eBay for the Commodore, which was apparently kind of rare. Most of the transmitters were for the Apple and for the PC.
I mean, that's like a needle in a haystack. I mean,
I was like, oh yeah, all right. And so I found that. I said, this might make a neat video just to see how far we've come with simulators. Real flight with the photorealistic and VR and everything else. This was something that ran in 64K of memory, loaded off a little floppy disk. and it was just a fun thing, and it worked. It was just a fun video to make. The transmitter turned out to have a little bit of ailment I had to go and fix eventually. One of the axes didn't quite work right.
Right.
But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I remember. I thought it was going to be super terrible. But it was okay to learn the basic muscle memory and stuff for flying. It was decent for the time. I could see it being pretty decent for learning.
How were the characteristics though compared to like real flight? Like,
very crude. There were some. It was weird, especially the power modeling. It was, unless you turn the power like all the way up, you can model how powerful the engine is, for example.
Okay.
There was no electric, so it's an engine. And I pull up and the thing was like, just go and install. I was like, what? The thing barely has any power. They go, you got to go into the settings and change the power level up higher so you can actually climb and do loops and rolls. So it was a little weird. So it was very, very crude, very, very primitive modeling on the aerodynamics. It was basically just kind of goes where you pointed it.
What do you think of today's, like, compared, like, today's simulators? Do you think they're I don't really play a lot with them. Are they pretty close to the flight characteristics? I mean, I know they've come a long way, and I'll tell my kids to hop on them to learn flying, but I mean, is it a pretty close comparison?
They are. They're really good now at modeling the characteristics of different aircraft. Not exactly perfect. Sometimes I have issues with their modeling of mass and momentum, but it's a very, very minor thing. It's at the point now where if somebody's new into the hobby, I always recommend they get a simulator.
Yeah.
It allows them to practice maneuvers, learn how to fly, practice advanced stuff. I have a simulator, and I still use it on occasion to practice more advanced stuff. Oh, we lost your buddy. I was going to tell him that.
He's coming back.
Okay, I got a similar story for him, but yeah,
Sorry,
we were
guys.
talking about simulators, and I see you do turbines and jets,
Yeah.
and I actually got my waiver last year for the first
cool.
time.
Congrats.
And one of the things I used a simulator was for preparing myself to get the maneuvers for the waiver.
Yeah.
I had a local guy who was going to sign me off. He said, "Hey, this is the kind of maneuvers I expect you to do with the jet. And I want you to do them smoothly and be able to transition back and forth. And this is the kind of stuff." He was a little more particular about how he does waivers, which is fine. And so I could go into the simulator, and he said, "I want you to do X, Y, Z, PDQ, type of maneuvers." And so the simulator let me go up and practice those maneuvers back to back to get them drilled into my head. So I got to go do this maneuver that flows into this maneuver, it flows into this thing, it flows into this thing. So I could do it back to back to back without having to think about it a lot and really stretching myself out. And that's where the simulator came in really handy for that kind of stuff. I could load in a turbine or even EDF kind of thing. Yeah. And then when I went out to the field, was like I had to practice EDF. I would do stuff. It was easy to do that without having to spend a lot of time. And the EDF doesn't have a whole lot of time, so I can do the whole set of string maneuvers within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you just getting into you're just getting into turbines? Like, do you have your first turbine yet? Or
I do. It's sitting right over there. I have a video on it where I go through the experience of getting my waiver. So it's an HSD F-16. So it's one of those things. I actually never really intended to get into turbines. It's one of those things that I enjoyed watching. I was like, I don't know. That's a whole lot of dinero, mucho okane.
Light up in one airplane.
It's like they're cool. I appreciate the technology. They're awesome, but I don't know. Maybe one day, I don't know. Until I walked into a hobby shop one day, and there was these couple of turbines sitting on a counter. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I talked to the hobby shop owner. I said, what's up with these jets in it? He goes, oh, local guy's selling them. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, but. Just out of curiosity, he said, well, how much is he selling them for? Just because it didn't have a price on them. He goes, well, it's for X amount. I was like, hey, that's really not too bad. And these were fully set up with engine, everything basically plug and play.
Yeah.
And never been flown. I guess the guy just chickened out or something.
Yeah.
And the hobby shop owner, I'm real friendly with the hobby shop owner, goes, you know what? I bet I could get the price reduced. Let me call the guy and see if I can talk him down a little bit. I'm like, oh, you have my interest. And he calls me back a couple days later, goes, oh, now the price, I talked him down, the price is X. I'm like, all right.
Wow.
All right, I just won't eat for a couple of weeks. All right, you got me. And so that's how I ended up with one, but I didn't have my waiver. And so it literally actually sat on the table for actually a couple of years because I just never got around to it. I wanted to do it, and I just got distracted with a whole lot of stuff to channel and whatever. And I finally got a bee in my bonnet. I said, you know, I really need to fly this thing. It's been sitting here forever. And so I found a local guy. He said, yeah, he'll help me check it out. I'm totally new to turbines.
Yeah.
So I was able to bring it to his house and he checked it over. He's a big turbine guy.
Perfect.
We checked it out, got it running, started it up. He got me some fuel and gave me some what to do, what not to do, some really good pointers that I had no idea about. And then I was able to, oops, sorry about that. He had to go out of town. I had another person. I went to a fly-in, have him maiden it for me, test fly it. I was able to fly it around on a buddy box for a little bit.
Nice.
And so that's what got me to turbines. That's the only one I have at the moment, though I did get an engine. One guy said, hey, I know somebody's selling an 80 Newton engine for real cheap. So I have another engine, but no airframe for it yet.
What do you prefer? Because I know you go between gas, electric. What do you prefer?
I probably say I fly 75% electric.
Okay.
And probably the rest, what is that, 25%. So say maybe 24% gasoline.
Right.
And then the rest, the last 1% be split between old school glow engines and turbines.
Huh.
But if you had to pick, like, I'm going flying today, I really want to have fun, what would you pick, gas or electric?
It's usually an electric. Usually, but there's also a good chance I'll take a gas. This last weekend, I brought out my gas P-51 to fly. I wanted to get some more flight time on it. But usually there's an electric airplane in the car as well, of some sort.
This guy, what's that? Is that?
That's electric, actually. Yeah. That is a 60cc equivalent electric. Runs on 12 cells, 9,000 milliamp hour battery packs. Just finished it recently, and it's really nice, really smooth. It's got a great sound.
Like a gorgeous kit. I'm actually happy somebody, that's basically like the military crusty, dusty crop hopper, right?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, they took not a Brave, but I think it's the crop duster. I forgot what it was called.
Crop duster. Right.
It's a crop duster. They took basically a standard crop duster, made it a two-seater, took out the hopper, put a bunch of electronics in it, some stores, waypoints so they could drop bombs and launch missiles and stuff off of it.
I was reading about that plane a couple of years ago. It's supposed to be like a lightweight airframe for special forces to use.
Yeah, lightweight, very inexpensive, can get in and out of very short fields, long loiter times. You can fly around for hours. Looking for people to pick off, that kind of stuff. So it's sort of a poor man's A-10 in a way.
Yeah, very cool plane though.
So I wanted to say that electrics, I started in electrics back when people thought electric people were those weird people that lived in the cave. I've always had an interest in electrics. Even back, some of my early airplanes literally were RC car motors and airframes and that kind of stuff. The brush motors and round cells. And so when after I got out of school, I started really getting back in the hobby, and electrics were just starting to really become something viable. So I really dove deep into electric stuff because as an engine nerd, it was really fascinating to try to work out power systems, weight, components. It really what works, what doesn't work, what can I get an airframe to fly decently on limited power and heavy batteries and that kind of stuff. And so I really went heavy. So I was there when we first started seeing brushless motors, and we first started seeing lithium batteries. I remember literally getting individual cells. They were CoCam lithium cells. They were terrible form factor. Imagine, what do I have? Almost like this. Ignore the holes, but it was just a flat thing. And so I stacked a bunch together, soldered them all together, stuck them to the side of a helicopter, and flew the thing for like 30 minutes. It was pretty amazing. It was
without catching on fire.
Without catching on fire, yes. I've had some later catch on fire, but that was the very beginning. The form factor was, I couldn't put them in an airplane, so I said, well, I got this little electric helicopter I'll tinker with, and it worked. It was it's going flying around forever. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Wow.
And eventually, they became more and more better form factor, better power. These were only like 5 or 10 C. Now we got 100 C batteries easily. So it was a really fun time. We've talked about it on our own show about the good old battle days of early electrics. How it was a lot of science involved. And Tom Hunt that runs Neat, excuse me, was a big part of that too. I have one of his belt drives that he basically took a DeWalt drill motor and made a belt drive that you put on it to swing, basically fly large-scale aircraft on it. And you'd have to run like 20, 30 NiCad batteries in it, but
you and Tom have a pretty similar. Well, you work for NASA. Tom works for Grumman. You guys have a pretty similar history, I guess.
Yeah, very similar. In fact, I started out in the aerospace. I worked at Lockheed, one of my early jobs, working on an F-16 program. That's why F-16s are a special attraction to me. And so that was great. I moved to Fort Worth and ended up meeting a whole bunch of people. There's a bunch of guys at Fort Worth that flew, some that worked at Lockheed and others. And so there was a really great community up there for flying. We had a great field, and it was really neat. A lot of guys that were also at the forefront of electric, so we could bounce each other off. There was for the longest time, they had an electric event up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, specifically for electrics. I got, RC groups.
Yeah.
I got to meet, I knew pretty well the owner, or the founder of RC groups. Yeah, Jim Burke. He was, we'd hang out and discuss electric stuff and that kind of stuff. So it was a really neat time to get in at the forefront of all the sausage making in early days of electrics. It was really cool.
Yeah, and where the technology now is.
It's absolutely amazing. It's like magic. Now, you don't have to think about it now, which is great. Before you had to pull up an electric calc or really delve into the numbers. Well, this motor power this, and a lot of the early ones didn't have inrunners. They're outrunners. No, I'm sorry, I swapped it. They didn't have the outrunners now that we have. They were inrunners, which tend to be high-speed motors, and so a lot of times you'd have to gear them down or put them on belt drives or something. Only a few could be direct drive with small props, and so it was more difficult to get the good power match. But now you can almost blindly pull a motor off the shelf and stick it in airplanes and NiCads, and it flies. Lithiums, and it flies just great. It's a real turnkey now. So we live in a renaissance era. Really nice.
It's a good time to get into the hobby if you're thinking about.
Oh yeah. So that's why. So you go to the field like my field. I don't know about your guys' field, but mine probably mostly electrics now.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
So I'm a member at the field that Tom Hunt runs, and that is 90% electric, and there's only a couple of guys who are grandfathered in that can fly gas.
Yeah.
It's almost there.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, it's almost a stereotype, but since I live in Texas, they say everything's big in Texas. So it's kind of true with models too. There's a lot of big, giant, I can't count on my hands how many giant scale fly-ins there are in my area.
Oh yeah, there are
throughout the year. They're all over the place. So gas is real popular for that. There's even a couple of subgroups. There's a Texas Warbird Thunder, which is just basically giant scale warbird flyers, and there's a couple other groups. There's a Ace of something. They fly giant scale in formation. So there's a lot of big bird type fly-ins here because gasoline engines. And gas is cheap, of course, and they like to fly their big stuff. And a lot of fields are pretty big here. Like I said,
everything's kind of wide open.
Yeah, I don't know where you guys are. Where are you guys located?
Us? Me? Yeah. I'm in New York. I'm on Long Island.
Oh, you're Long Island. Okay.
John's in Alberta, Canada.
I'm in Canada. Right about.
Oh, gee, Canada.
In October, I was down in Sweetwater for the jet event down there. So drove.
Oh, neat. So I don't know what flying is like in Canada. I've never been to a Canadian field. That'd be neat to see. But I know growing up in the Northeast, most of the flying fields were relatively small and didn't have a whole lot of space because, like I said, a lot of them were like in the middle of cornfields or sod fields or something like that. And here in Texas, a lot of the fields are so big that big planes are not a big deal. We have places like Bomber Field, and there's another one called Scobie Field, that kind of stuff. That's just a lot of open space. And so pulling out a giant plane out of your trailer, it's not a big deal. There's plenty of space to fly it.
Right. Yeah, John, you have fields like that. You have those.
Yeah. We're, driving down in Texas. I mean, we're the province, which would be a state to you guys, but the province that we're in. I try and use both languages when I do this kind of stuff.
A state province.
The state province that we're in is a lot like Texas, just a little more green, a little less deserty, but it's wide open like that as well.
And a lot colder.
Yeah, I was going to say, except for this time of year, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like we've been a couple weeks ago, we were brutal cold, and this week we're in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Like today was 50 degrees. The snow is melting like crazy. So
It's downright balmy, huh, for you guys?
it's almost shorts and t-shirt weather. So
Crazy.
then that all changes next week. So
So I'm always amazed by like how everybody has the time to do all these things. But you mentioned the podcast a couple of times, so you're on.
Yeah.
Well, you also write occasionally for AMA. You still doing that?
So yes, I'm one of the co-hosts of the RC Roundtable podcast, rcroundtable.com.
Yeah.
And I do write. I'm sort of a freelance-ish person for both Model Aviation, which is AMA magazine, and Model Airplane News. I've done for both, and so I frequently write. There you go. There's the RC Roundtable. We do also.
You guys had Bardwell on your last episode. Is that Josh Bardwell?
Oh, that was a joke. No, we didn't have him on. We were talking about the new FCC rules, and I think Lee said he watches this guy's YouTube channel, and so we put him up there as a fake guest. Although it would be nice to have him on. Maybe we might have him on if we can get him.
I think it would be. You guys have a lot more episodes than we do. Holy cow!
We've been doing this for a while. It's another thing that kind of started on a fluke. We were. I'm actually wasn't big into podcasts. It was like podcasts. That's like. It's for like politics or something, right? Or musicians that talk about things and say, no, there's RC model podcasts. Like there are, and so we were coming back from a swap meet, me and Lee, the guy in the top left, and he said, let's listen to the podcast. And then for some reason we thought, maybe we should do a podcast because we used to live in the same area, Lee, myself, and Terry on the bottom right. Before Terry moved away. And so we were just flying buddies and we kept in contact. We were real close friends. And we thought, well, it'd be fun to do our own podcast about RC model stuff as sort of a way, since he had moved away, to kind of keep in touch with each other and talk about our projects and whatnot. And then sort of everybody else is just invited in to listen to us blab on about life, the universe, and models. And it's been relatively successful. We've been doing it for some years now. 6-7 years, something like that, and we've had some neat guests, and we've been able to meet some neat people and go places and go to events. And I think we hosted a panel at one of the AMA shows in California and that kind of stuff. Or no, a couple of different ones, California and one in New Jersey back when they had it. So it's been a great experience, as you probably guys know. The podcast is, it's you don't do it for the money, but it is a lot of fun.
It's fun.
It is lots of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think it's just great talking to everybody and just seeing different perspectives of the hobby and talking to a guy like yourself who's not just into airplanes, but you're into cars, boats, planes, trains, automobiles, the whole thing. I'm kind of like that too. Like I'm an actual RC enthusiast. I have cars and not really into boats. It's funny again. I live on Long Island. I'm surrounded by water. You would think that I'd be more into boats, but I'm not. I never really caught the boat bug.
Really? So boats, it's interesting because I like boats. Actually, I did tinker with boats for the longest time too, because it was easy to transfer from cars to boats. And so before I did flying, I did a few boats. I had a couple different speed boats, and I just same battery, same motor. So it was kind of, and where I lived, there was a few ponds, so it was easy for me to tinker around with boats. So I've always had a liking for boats. One of the things I didn't think I'd like would be sailboats. I had absolutely no interest in sailboats until somebody, it was at the hobby shop, gave me a little cheap sailboat. He said, here, you can have this little sailboat. I'm like, why would I want a sailboat? Until I tried it. I was like, you know what?
Every one of his stories starts out with, that's a hobby shop.
Somebody gave me this thing.
Stay away from
they just gave it to me. So I don't know about you guys. For me, this hobby has been so great because just so many people are so generous in a lot of ways. Yeah. And it's always surprised me. I call it the Brotherhood of Hobbyists. I think I heard that somewhere. Brotherhood of Modelers, excuse me. And so I had these guys, people I'd meet. I guess if you're if you're a good person, you kick it off, and they say, hey, I see you're struggling, or you need something, or you need some help, and so
I will say. So my wife comes to the shows, and I think you met her briefly at meet when you came over to our booth, but we were talking about that, like when she first really started coming to shows, and just like the community feel where everybody's kind of. Yeah. It's not like that with a lot of other hobbies, or like I used to be a really big like car guy, like driving car guy back in the day. And
wow, like live on the edge, huh?
Right. I would go to shows and events, and it's like you had to like almost protect your stuff and make sure like people weren't stealing stuff. It's not the same in this hobby. Like it's very, like you feel like it's kind of like your friend almost, because we're in the same. It's weird.
It's
very
such a
community oriented. It's a strange thing, but it's just how everybody kind of is in this hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty amazing. You know, you can go to a fly-in, you can leave your $2,000 transmitter on the table and walk away, and almost entirely sure nothing's going to happen to it.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
Right.
And you meet people that give you a helping hand. You know, your servo just died in your airplane. You know, and he's like, oh crap, I can't fly. My servo's dead. And no doubt somebody's going to say, hey, I got an extra servo. Here you have it. Just stick it in there and go fly. You know, it's just so amazing. You know, I've always astounded by the generosity I've had in this hobby, and I try to reciprocate the generosity too as well.
Pay it forward, absolutely.
Yeah, pay it forward.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. Wherever we can, we do. Especially with the younger crowd, we always try to help out the younger crowd.
Yeah. In fact, our club just had a kid join, and we're doing everything we can to try to get him into the hobby. Get him, make sure he's trouble free. He's starting to fly, so we want to make sure he's get instructors. We have somebody out there help him get things set up and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I gotta watch that FCC episode you guys did. Are you guys doom and gloom on that, or?
A mystery wrapped in an enigma, kind of.
Yeah.
We're not doom and gloom. In fact, Lee made a good point that he can still buy stuff. It's not that you can't buy stuff anymore. It's just it seems to be a poorly written, very gray written for specific things.
Yes.
So beneath the surface, it looks like they're looking for very specific things, primarily for drones, that kind of stuff. But the way they wrote it is pretty vague.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about, is how vague it is and how open-ended it is.
Yeah.
And that kind of is what scares me.
Did you see there was another drop of some Q&As that they're trying to address specific questions? There was another document.
I think there's been cover. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm always conspiracy theorist on the whole thing too. Like, it's going to benefit some companies right away that are going to get military contracts and stuff. I think the biggest thing that needs to happen in an ideal world, and I know that this is part of the issue, but I think there needs to be a line definitively drawn between commercial and hobbyist.
Yeah. That's always been my issue.
Right. Like, that's, to me, I think that's where, look, I understand the whole need for us to manufacture stuff here for as far as like the military stuff goes and that stuff, but like you're taking out the whole segment in certain parts. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, I griped about that too. Where they were trying to squish and merge semi-autonomous GPS guided commercial or semi-commercial drones with, Grandpa flying his P-51 at line of sight.
And they're putting them in the same box.
Yeah, they're putting them in the same box, and it's nowhere near.
And that's the issue, right? And then, I don't know. It's almost like we're going to have to do the same thing with that happened with remote ID. Like, we're going to have to come together as a community, and we're going to have to make a bunch of noise and try to see if we can fix some of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's very powerful and large forces at play,
huge.
And I was postulating that the war in Ukraine doesn't help either.
No,
because if you know how they're using drones, I'm sure that's got national security spooked regarding how they're doing stuff.
But this is the point I make all the time. Like, there's people on YouTube who do this, right? There's a channel dedicated. There's a guy on YouTube. His channel is literally dedicated to making drones and airplanes and stuff out of ESP32. So they're not
right. Yeah.
So he takes an Arduino and an ESP32 and he makes a remote control out of an Arduino and an ESP32 flying the drone. So
load up Ardu Pilot. There you go.
A bad actor, anybody who from national security concerned, a bad actor can make anything out of anything that they really want to like, you know,
Oh,
like
right,
fertilizer is a bomb. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so a bad actor is going to be a bad actor. It doesn't matter. Like, what's to stop them from buying a bunch of cheap, because I don't know, brushless motors are on the list, like all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
right?
but batteries, like,
Well,
how does that work?
And the question becomes, and this is where they actually messed up on that. So that's where it could get challenged legally, because that stuff's out of the FCC's purview. If it doesn't emit a signal, technically it's not under the FCC.
Right. FCC controls the airwaves, the electromagnetic airwaves.
It's got to emit a signal for the FCC to have control over it. So
Right.
a battery doesn't emit a signal, neither does the brushless
No,
motor.
not typically.
Yeah.
Some of the smart batteries might at an extremely low level.
Unless it's really smart and hooks up to a Bluetooth phone app.
Well, if it's got a processor, it means it's got a clock, so it's got
Right.
an oscillator, and that can technically transmit something.
That's stretching it, but yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's known to happen. But it's like I said, it's so low power. But they could wiggle themselves in through that way. That's why I said only smart batteries, because there's a microprocessor on it. But other than that, that's the only.
There's nothing stopping anybody from, like, if they really lock that stuff down. All right, so then I'm going to go on Amazon if I really want to be a bad actor, and I'm going to buy, a bunch of $30 brushless RC cars, take the motors out of them, take the receivers out of them.
Oh yeah.
Take the controller. It's got channels. All I have to do is 3D print the box, and I can make my own controller out of it.
it's
now
the old.
I have something that I can fly into whatever I want to fly it into.
It's the old trope, right? Locks are for honest people.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So, and I think that's where some of my frustration lies, is because I think that the people who are making the decisions are being fed information by people who are going to benefit from this, and that's part of my issue. They're not talking to actual people who are doing this in the hobby. They're talking
Right.
They're talking to the companies that are going to make, this stuff's bad. We got to make it here only, and
Yeah.
sure, that works for Skydio, right? Like, who benefits the most from kicking out some of these other companies? So I don't know. I don't want to go too crazy down the thing, but like down the rabbit hole, and it's super frustrating.
Yeah, it is. We just want to go out and play with our toys. And,
That's it.
Yeah, and we're
And
not
that's
harming
where the
anybody.
line is
Yeah,
drawn.
and we've talked about it before. We don't want to make the hobby harder for people to get into, because so many of us started our careers and interests in technology and STEM and stuff because of this hobby.
Mhm.
Astronauts have started this hobby, famous aircraft designers, engineers, mechanics, whatever. And so this is keeps kids out of trouble. Kept me out of trouble. When my kids are off making trouble, I was in the basement building airplanes.
Right, and think about how expensive, like, a hobby for some parents, right? Like, buying that ready-to-fly plane from Horizon right now, whatever, it could be $350, $400.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is made here now. It's not $350, $400 anymore.
No.
It's going to be $600, $700.
It's just too expensive. Yeah.
That kid's not getting into the hobby at that point. Like,
Yeah.
schools with these programs, right? A lot of schools have drone programs and stuff now.
Yeah.
If everything's made here and the price is double what it is now, those programs aren't going to be able to keep up with that. So it's like, I don't know.
It was tough. My friend Lee, his son is going to school for drone stuff, and they had a list of stuff. You have to use these drones, and of course DJI was on them, and it was really hard to get a DJI drone to use, or any of the drones on the list. So I think there was one US manufacturer on there, but it wasn't anything near what the DJI was. So
It's going to be hard. And then, from the safety aspect of it, I mean, like, there have been a whole bunch of major drone accidents that have taken out, like, there's no safety data to really back up all of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything serious. There's been a couple of incidences, but that's just a probability. You're always going to have something.
Yeah.
It's
right. A couple of instances versus the 2 million drones that are in the United States.
Right. Yeah, it's in a noise.
Right. Was it 1%? Less than 1% have had some kind of
but it makes headlines. It makes the news.
Yeah,
but we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully, we can still be able to carve out our hobby.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this as long as I can, as best I can.
Well, so the way it's written, pretty much everything we have now is still good and can still be imported and purchased.
Right.
So
It sounded like, it's mainly new certifications.
It just kills innovation going forward. Great. So we'll have the same tech for the next 20 years.
Hopefully just to be some amendments or some, I know the AMA has, what do you call those guys? They have people in DC. I forgot the name of the term. Lobbyists, thank you. Lobbyists. Right. So maybe they can get a foot in the door to help change some of this, or maybe the community. I see you're part of the FPV community, part of the drone community can also weigh in and try to get their local congressmen.
I think we're at an inflection period in the hobby. So the way I look at it is, maybe I'm looking at it a little doom and gloom, but this is the second time within 5 years that the hobby's kind of under attack, right?
Yeah.
Remote ID came first. Luckily, there was a lot of pushback on remote ID, and remote ID came out, and it was a lot better than what it was originally supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was,
Yeah, a lot better than what it was originally supposed to be. And what we got handed it was something everybody could kind of live with, right? And now this, so it's like, it's almost like they're kind of not leaving it alone. So I think we're almost at a period now where all of these companies that are in the Horizon, the Hobby King, the major companies need to be behind the AMA and the lobbyists and really, secure the future of it, because if we don't start fighting back on it, we almost have to become almost like the NRA at this point, where we really have a strong voice about what's going on.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It really is. It's scary. We're talking about little toys that fly in the air.
But you have people that don't understand this, and so they see a drone. They say, "Hey, this is a drone with a camera. It's going to eat your face and spy my daughter, and blow me up or something like that." So you got to fight the ignorance. Basically,
and the Ukraine whole situation didn't help.
Yeah,
I
did not help.
I observed that 1,000%. I 1,000% agree that is just not great for the hobby at all.
Yeah.
That's where we are. It's crazy. We just want to fly toys.
Yes. I want to fly my airplanes. Please, sir, may I have another flight?
That's what might have to happen. I don't know. It's crazy. It really is. Well, way to end on this on a negative note.
Something happy. Can we talk about, naked airplanes or something?
Yeah.
On a happy note.
Other than the Sky Raider, what else do you have going on?
I'm currently building a kit that will appear in Model Aviation, as a matter of fact, as a review.
Oh, cool.
It is a, you want me to get it or do I do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to see it? Oh, take a second. It's right here. It is, I'll talk about it.
I thought that was a picture behind him.
It kind of looks like it, right? With
it still looks like a background, right?
It's real. It's not Memorex.
That thing is awesome.
So, and that's one of I think the last video I spit out, one of the last videos was that build and flight video. So, I'll grab just a couple things.
That Sky Raider's a cool looking plane.
118 inches of goodness. It spits out, I measured it at, I'll be there in a second, 6,000 watts, just over 6,000 watts of power.
The Sky Raider?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
is that belt drive or is that straight?
It's straight. But it will get a belt drive. I'm going to update the power system for a belt drive. But right now it's just a straight dual sky motor, G6000 or G8000, something like that. I moved the box and forgot what it was. But anyways, I am building a kit. One of those where you get a box of wood and instructions to say make plane. So it's a biplane. It's actually, I don't know if you can. How much airplane geek are you? Can you tell what it is?
Yeah, we can see it. I can't tell what it is. We can see it.
It is a, sorry, I got to scoot over a little bit. It is a de Havilland Tiger Moth.
Oh, very nice.
So it's a biplane. And so it's a kit, all laser cut. And I've been building the wings. This is one of the wings. 20 Ray models. Comes the guy in California. It's been a long day. I can't remember the name of the company. What was it? Blast it. I'm terrible with names.
Looks
And
like a
so-
quality kit. Everything looks like the laser cuts look nice.
It's laser cut. Well, except the part I just broke. Laser cuts. The ribs are pretty thin. I'll fix it. It's really good laser cutting. Yes, very, very, very fine laser cutting in the balsa and the ply. You've got neat features like these little hinge doors that open up.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, let me get a bad reflection there.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
for the cockpit, which is
Yep.
pretty neat. It's got a working suspension
Nice.
on the landing gear. Yeah, even the tail has got a little bit of spring action going on with some springs. So it's nice. Every once in a while, I still like to build kits as well. So I got a workbench and I just go at it, glue everything together, cover it. I'm gonna probably cover it with some fabric covering.
In all of your excess time that you have.
It's just a matter of making time, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do spend a lot of time in the workshop doing stuff. So that are the two big things. Actually, I got another kit. The guy from Zip Kits. He's known for his boats, of all things, but he's getting into model airplanes. And so I've got a Zip Kit from him, another kit. A much simpler build than this thing. It'd be slab size, basic high wing. That I have on a board. I need to get to the Tough Jets. I got an F-14 Tough Jet.
Oh, very cool.
F-14. Don't get too excited, Jonathan. It's not anything. You
Throw a couple
squid.
little turbines in there. You're good.
No, it is a very cartoony F-14.
So me and my other partner, Kyle, Built Fast, actually are coming out with our own kits. They're 3D
really?
They're 3D printed plane kits.
Ah,
You buy the kit; it's going to come with all of the hardware, the servos, everything, and you glue it together. And we're making a PNP.
oh, okay. I was going to say like an ARF thing or something, but
Yeah, hold on.
Oh.
I have my demo model.
You got a lot of boxes in the background there, Anthony. Are they
Yeah, I
empty or
see.
full?
It's we've actually reorganized and cleaned up a little bit.
Ooh, that's snazzy.
Nice.
Oh, I like your style.
This is we named it the Night Dragon. It is a 50 millimeter EDF. It will come as a regular version or an FPV version where you can put the
All right.
recess for the VPX and then the camera in the nose. And this is it. Comes in pieces in a box, and you glue it together, and it comes with the servos and EDF and everything else. Or you can just buy it as a 3D printed plane kit that you just put together and put your own electronics in.
Are the canards functional or are they fixed?
They are not right now. V2 will probably be functional canards. When you say functional, like
elevators,
well, yeah, they don't move right now. They do function like aerodynamically. They
right. Just did they move as
they
they
will in V2.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the V2. We actually have two versions of this plane. We have this is the Night Dragon, and then we have the Prop Dragon, which is a prop version of the
prop dragon. Yeah. What material did you print it in? It looks like actually two different materials.
So it's lightweight PLI.
Okay.
It's just different colors. This is
okay.
This is the model that I have used for our videos and the build video, but also it's just gonna sit on a stand outside our booth when we're showing the stuff off.
Neat. And that's your own design, you said?
This is our proprietary design, yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's pretty snazzy.
Well done.
He's on YouTube. Built Fast RC.
Built Fast. Okay.
Yeah, that's his thing. He just designs and prints all kinds of 3D printed planes. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm always really impressed with the people that can design that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We have that. We have we have 3 models that we're coming out with. They're actually releasing this month. We have that one. We have a Scout, which is almost looks like a Horizon Hobby Aero Scout, but it's got an EDF basically like in the middle of the fuselage.
Oh.
And then we have one called a Facet Opal, which is it's a Facet Opal. That's actually designed off a real plane. It's a little speed racer type plane. There's a little prop on the back of it. So,
like a Pussycat?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. I'll show you. I'll pull up a picture of it real quick.
Because when you said Facet, my first thought was a Facet Mobile, which is an actual plane, but it's more of an origami pseudo stealth fighter looking plane.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of it real quick.
When are you guys planning on selling those things, Anthony?
When or where?
When?
They're gonna be for sale in the next week or two.
Very cool. Congrats.
Oh wow.
It's been so I John, I like to take on more than I can possibly ever.
I know how that is.
So when you're coming out with like this is actual like product, right? I tested. So I started out. I talked to Kyle about the design, and we went from there, right? Then my next step was while he was working on the design, I literally bought every lightweight PLA that you can purchase, and I tested them.
Oh, different brands?
For printability, ease of printing, strength, layer adhesion, you name it. I tested the materials for. So I did that for probably, I don't know, a month or so. I've been working on this for like 5 or 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then box sizes, right? Like I had to figure out boxes, what size boxes are going to come in so I can order boxes. Then we're actually, my kids are helping. We make our own plastic bubble wrap bags for the parts to go into. So we bought rolls of bubble wrap and an induction heater. Right, but listen to this. This is the crazy stuff, right? Because we're trying to do this. So I'll tell you the prices of the kits. The full P&P kit's $259 delivered. That's
Wow.
shipping. That's shipping included, right? It sounds like a lot for a 3D printed plane, but it comes with the EDF, the ESC, the servos, the carbon spar, and then
Wow.
the 3D printed parts, right? And if you just take the electronics and the spar and everything, that's $80 right off the top, right?
Yeah.
And then you have I average shipping across the country is probably about $50 average. So that's what I figured for that. So you have to think about all the stuff. So like we were looking at, so some of the parts are big, right? And it takes too long to individually wrap the parts to pack them and ship them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, so we need to get big bubble wrap bags to slide the parts in. So I have wing boxes right here. I had to create a system. So underneath my tables now, I have individual boxes with all the parts laid out. So when they come off the printer, you just lay them out and put them in boxes.
Get your own assembly line workflow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like a workflow. So this is not that small of a part, right?
Yeah.
Right. So for a bubble wrap bag to slide this in, so you're not, individually bubble wrapping this because that would take way too long. They're like, even if you buy them in bulk, they're like $2 a piece.
Yeah.
It was so much cheaper to buy giant rolls of bubble wrap. And then I bought a little $60 induction bag heater that's 24 inches long. And you just press the seams together on 3 sides of the bag.
Gotcha. Like a
and
sealer.
now I have my own bubble wrap pouches for a fraction of the cost. Same thing with the boxes. Like certain box sizes were almost $5 a box.
Yeah.
Where, if you were 2 inches in one direction or the other, then it's $2.50. It's the long story short, we went through crazies, and now I'm working on the manuals. That's the last part of it.
I believe a career path for some people are. I think there's a career like packaging engineer. I don't know where you go to school for that kind of thing. That's a thing. So
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
When I first started undertaking it, I thought it would be a lot easier than it was. So there's a company in Europe called Krakel, and they're the ones we kind of based this off of. I give them a lot of credit. They have an amazing website. Their manuals are like computer generated, like gorgeous. Like they're so far ahead of us, but that's kind of where I wanted to go with it. It's a lot of work. Like it was a lot to do this and come out with it. It wasn't easy. So I'll show you what the facet looks like real quick. This is one of them. It's a very cool looking plane actually. 1 second, share screen. Facet opal. Sure. That's the facet opal.
All right, tail this.
Cool.
Gotcha.
It's like a little plank wing.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. And then I'll show you the Scout real quick. I'll show you the Scout. The Scout's a cool plane. So we wanted we're gonna spread out into different models. We might do like he designs everything. Like he just designed an F-14 Tomcat. So
Wow.
like he can pretty much make anything. So we might break off into different models in the future. But we wanted models that, like the Night Dragon is going to be a little bit more fast and fun, right? It'll have some fun flight characteristics. We wanted a model like that. We wanted like a plank model, you know, a little faster up, a little racer prop model, right? That's strictly a prop model. And then the Scout is actually going to be like the easiest model to fly, basically. And I'll show that one real quick. Like I said, it almost looks like the Aero Scout with like an EDF version Aero Scout. So this is the Scout.
Awesome.
So the EDF is here in the middle. And then, you know, it blows out the back tube.
Is that out already?
The designs, you could buy the STLs for that on Cults. He sells the STLs for that.
Okay, so yeah, so somebody, my club member has one of those. I flew that.
Yeah.
He had one at the field a couple of weeks ago. I had never seen one before.
He's sold a ton of the STLs. There's a ton of people.
Yeah, it's a good flying little plane.
Oh yeah, no, he's a popular designer. Like he's got, I don't know, like 40,000 sales on Cults. He's a very popular designer.
And those are those the intakes that I see right behind the canopy glass there?
Those are the intakes for the 50, and then it just blows it out the back of the plane.
Super cool.
It was surprisingly slippery. I mean, it had a long glide ratio on it.
Yeah.
I actually had to abort my first landing because it just kept flying. It's like,
it
won't come down.
Well, and that's kind of what you want, right, with 3D printed planes is, you want them, that's the other part. Like, that was the part of the testing with the materials. And price also played into a factor, too, right? We can print in a really high-end, like, now they have lightweight ASA.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pain in the butt to print, kind of, right? And it's expensive per roll. It's not cheap per roll. But with this stuff, I landed on the Polymaker lightweight PLI. It's a pre-foaming PLI, but the strength and layer adhesion is really there. And you want these planes to kind of be light. That's going to give them a little bit more longevity, and it makes it easier for them to fly. So it's been a journey. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's neat.
Yeah. Good luck with it.
Yeah, thank you. So I think it's going to bridge the gap. I'm hoping, my thoughts are, it's going to bridge the gap of somebody like you, right, who likes to build stuff, and somebody who wants to go to the store and buy something.
Yeah. And
just fly it, right? So like, you still get the enjoyment of kind of gluing this together and building it, but you can put the Night Dragon together in less than an hour.
Yeah, you can glue it real quick. Some medium CA and a kicker, you're
exactly.
jamming.
Right. So you still feel like you built it, you can paint it, you can do what you want to do with it, but you also can be out flying in a very short amount of time. It's not going to take you 3 weeks to build it. So
cool.
It's going to be cool. Yeah. My wife's not happy. We have close to 30 printers now.
30 printers?
Yeah.
Wow. Are all the same brand or different brands?
Mostly the same brand.
Can I ask what you like to use? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not a bamboo guy.
That's fine.
I stayed away from bamboo. I stayed away from bamboo a couple of years ago because of all of the privacy stuff that was going on. So I just kind of stayed away from bamboo. Never really went bamboo. I have 5 heavily modified Ender 3s that will run like 320 on the hot end. And then the rest of them are any cubics. I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So mostly Cobra 2 Maxes and Cobra 2 Pros.
I think you're the first person I've talked to that has an Anycubic FDM printer. I have one of their old resin printers, but I never.
I haven't had any issues with them. For the most part, they've been rock solid. I have a couple of machines that are 4 years old with thousands of hours on them, and they're still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I presume they know what they're doing. Interesting. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, and for me, it was barrier of entry. So like when I actually have like 4 or 5 more printers brand new in boxes. I can replace a Cobra 2 Pro for $200.
Wow. It's amazing how inexpensive they've gotten.
Right.
Absolutely amazing.
So for me, if one of them really dies, I'll just take another one out of the box and I'm not paying $1,000 a printer. So I can do, and it's they're printed. Like I've printed tons of stuff with them.
You ever heard of a printer bot?
Yes.
Have you been around? That was my first printer, and that was, I don't know if you've seen one, Jonathan, but it was pretty small. It was a kit, and it was half made out of wood.
Yep.
And it was really by really primitive. There's no auto leveling.
Yeah.
The print bed size was actually pretty small, but it was a 3D printer. It was the neatest thing when I first got that. It was the coolest thing I had in a long time.
It was one of the first printers.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones. Yeah, that was commercially available, and ironically, I got it because a guy at work had one. And he was talking to me, he says, yeah, you can get a laser attachment. I was like, laser. I actually wanted it for the laser. Ended up never using it with a laser attachment, just using it as a 3D printer. Because I always wanted to do, I like laser cutting and stuff. So, but anyways.
I almost went Prusa. There was a guy actually recently who was selling a print farm. He was switching from Prusa MK3Ss, Mark 3Ss.
Yeah.
To bamboo, but he's going to the large format bamboo. I think it's the H2.
Oh, yeah, when it just came out. I think it's a newer.
Right,
recently,
right.
Yeah.
But he was selling all this. He had 30-something Prusas he was selling for, I think he was down to like $200 a piece.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to go grab like 10 of them, but I'm like this close to getting divorced as it is. If I can't, like even with 10 more printers right now, like I would have to go rent a van. Like there's no hiding it, right? Like,
yeah, that's true. That's too bad. But I actually have a Prusa Mark 3S, as a matter of fact. I think it is. Been a rock solid printer. It was really good.
They supposedly, I haven't had one. They're supposedly great printers and reliable. They run forever. So like,
yeah,
I won't get rid of my Enders because I have so much time and not even money into them, because you can mod an Ender 3 now and make it. For $500, you can pretty much do whatever you want with an Ender 3. But I just have so much time into making them work good that like I just can't abandon them at this point. Like,
I gotta say the best thing about my bamboo printers is I just take them out of the box and they work good every time. So.
It's like an appliance, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Push the button and it works.
And in all honesty, that's where I'm at with the Anycubic machines. Like this is straight off the printer. This isn't post processed yet. This is. I'm getting really good results. So obviously, I spent a lot of time tweaking setting up for the lightweight PLA. But I get really clean results out of my prints now. So
nice.
It's been working. I'm not anti bamboo. All right, I'm a little anti-bamboo, and I'll say because I'm a little anti-DJI as well. So it's the guys who created bamboo, a bunch of them came from DJI.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So they kind of have that. It's kind of like the Apple thing where like they want to control everything and everything's kind of like locked down and not open doors.
Yeah, didn't they have a recent change that really got the community all kind of.
Yeah, so I don't like companies that kind of do that.
Yeah, I agree that they should do that.
Well, and to poke the bear more, Anthony, I was on the weekend. I was flying my DJI FPV drone too. So
I'm okay with that because that got you into FPV and you're having a blast with it. It seems
that you printed on your bamboo, right?
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you're flying FPV, I'm cool with that.
I got 3 great flights and it was amazing.
You're having a good time with it, huh?
Maybe I could pick your brain a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's a little too much for the show, but my FPV, I have some older FPV stuff, but it's ancient stuff. And I wanted to upgrade, and it was like breathing through a fire hose and trying to figure out what kind of FPV stuff what's the new good high definition? Is there like a good place to start for maybe a plug-and-play setup or something?
Yeah, so the problem is this. So you probably have a bunch of analog stuff.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
Right? You can email me offline and I'll give you. You tell me what you have and I'll point you in the right direction. The problem with this whole situation with DJI and this whole FCC thing, like people were having a hard time just getting DJI FPV cameras in, like the air units. They've been having a really hard time just getting the air units in. So by far, all right, as far as clarity goes, DJI has the best system. Okay, they make the most clear FPV system for digital. The next runner-up would be Cadix, would be Walksnail. That is a relatively affordable system, and you want to be able to, if you're going to dive down that, you want to be able to get cameras in a couple of years.
Right.
See, DJI stuff, that's probably not going to be something that can happen. So,
interesting point.
Yeah. And then the other route would be if you wanted to stay something that's close to analog that you could still get good video from would be HD0. The HD0 stuff is not, you're not going to get DJI high def quality, but it's more of an analog. It's like a high def analog. It's a good system. There's nothing. So each one of those systems has its own perks, right? But DJI and the Caddx, the walk-nail system, they're probably the best. If you're looking for like really crystal clear image quality, those two are going to be the best that you can go with.
The DJI and Voxnail?
Walk-snail.
Oh, Walks?
Walk-snail.
How do you spell that?
Literally, walk, snail.
Oh, okay. That was German or something.
Yeah. It's made by Caddx.
Schnell, Voxes, nein.
Like,
Schnell, ja.
You might not have horrible stuff. Look, what I always tell everybody with FPV is, I don't know what you're looking to do with it. So, like, you see all the planes behind me?
Yeah.
Every single one of those has a camera on it. I don't fly line of sight it.
Oh, wow.
So
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I land.
You're hardcore,
I
aren't you?
take off. I do everything under the goggles now. If you're just looking to try it and get into it, the analog stuff you have, if you want to strap a camera on a plane and go fly and see what it's like up in the air, I would stay with that before you make a huge investment into digital, right?
Well, I already have some stuff already. It's just older and not a pretty good resolution.
Right.
So I was just wanting to upgrade to something a little more modern, because the stuff I literally have is probably 10 years old or
what are you going to
like
do
that.
with it? You're going to put it on?
Probably not much, other than the occasional use for giggles.
Right.
It's
just every once in a while I use it.
You're going to spend anywhere from $600 to $1,000 for giggles. That's what's
okay, not that much giggles then. Okay, because here's something. In fact, this is one I just pulled out of a plane I had recently, and it is a run cam.
Right.
But I don't know how many lines it is. I don't think it says.
Run cam split.
It's Swift Mini. It says.
Does it say Swift or Split Mini?
No, Swift, like very fast.
Okay.
Swift Mini, with a 1/3 inch or 1/3 something or another. 2.5 millimeter, whatever those numbers mean. As far, I don't know if it's focal length or diameter. I don't know.
That's a 600 TVL camera. So you could go to like a 1200 TVL, which would give you better image quality.
So I could do a 1200 analog?
Yeah, that'll give you a little better. So that is an older. So this is what I tell people about an analog, right? Like, I get pretty good. Look, I'm not getting digital quality analog, but I get pretty good analog quality. The newer cameras, the sensors are better on them, the lenses are better on them. You're not getting digital, but you're getting way better analog quality than you got 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, and that may be fine. I mean, analog may be just fine. Just I need better resolution.
Right.
Can I use the same transmitters, or do I get to upgrade?
Probably use the same VTX. I don't know. I don't see what you got there.
It doesn't have a label on it. I have no idea. I don't even remember what it is.
Yeah. So that's the other thing
something.
too. Like, if you're getting a lot of, it's not just about the camera, right? So you want to get a really good camera, analog camera. You want to get a really good analog VTX, but also antennas matter, right? So if like,
antennas a big deal. Yeah.
Right. If you're getting a lot of breakup, antennas are important, right? And that will also help with your video clarity, right? You're receiving a better signal.
Yeah. So this is an old Tactic. Remember them?
Yeah,
it's old.
Yeah,
Tactic 32 channel, 5 gigahertz.
It's got to be at least 10 years old.
Yeah, like I said, it's ancient. That's why I wanted to upgrade to something, because
so
I had
to upgrade your camera and VTX for $150.
Okay, so that's reasonable. I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. But to go digital is it's a lot of money.
No, I didn't. I thought digital was a big thing, but it's a big jump in price, and I'd certainly be happy with analog. Just less fuzzy.
Oh, I didn't realize how long we've been on for. All right, so we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
Fitz, it's been a pleasure. I mean, if you're down to come back on in the future.
Oh yeah, I'd love to come back on. We can talk
we'll have
Whatever.
You
Anything you guys want to talk about? I'm happy to come
No, it's been
back.
a pleasure.
And
Thank
it's been great talking to you guys. Nice to meet you guys.
Cool, you as well.
I'm glad you were able to finally work it out.
Yeah, great. I ran into you, Anthony, at NEAT. Just the way. And maybe Jonathan, maybe meet you sometime in the future.
Hopefully, I think we crossed paths at, or we were at the same location at Joan All this year, but
Oh, really?
crossed
Okay.
paths, so it's a pretty big event, of course. So
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back at Journal at some point. I don't know if we'll make it this year, but we definitely will be back at some point.
well,
We
I'll
were
be
there
in
last year.
Texas in October or at the end of September. So
Oh, yeah, going event.
yeah,
Turbines and Tumbleweeds.
tumbleweeds, yeah, in Sweetwater, Texas. So
I've heard of it. I don't know where that is.
You should
yeah,
go to
it's
that. There's
close to
turbine riding.
Abilene.
Oh, okay, Abilene. I've been to Abilene before. That's okay. That's north. That's probably a good 5-hour drive from me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a journey for you. But
Yeah, Abilene. I went to an event in Abilene. When I used to live in the Fort Worth area, it was much closer. But
yeah.
what's the core of the event? What's the main purpose of the event?
Turbines and tumbleweeds. So it's basically a turbine event. We fly
Oh,
at
really?
the WASP Museum at the airport there. So we've got that shut down for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
Have you ever gone to the Waco Jets event?
no, not
wonder
yet.
how-
Anyways,
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a. I haven't really heard of the tumbleweed one too much. I wonder if there's a
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
new
difference
only-
in size.
yeah, this past year was the second year, so it'll be this year. will be
Oh,
the
okay.
third year.
Oh, that's why I haven't heard of it.
Yes.
It's just started.
Exactly.
Last
But
year.
you're-
Oh, go ahead.
You know what the WASP Museum is, right? You're an aviation World War II history.
Is that the woman air service pilots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that museum's there, so you can go and check that out.
Oh,
yeah, it's
cool.
pretty neat.
Yeah, I've never been to that. I did not know that was that there. Interesting. Yeah,
Where we'll be in October.
yeah, that's a fascinating history. Listen, if you look up the women that ferried the aircraft over,
Yeah.
unarmed, fighting a high-speed fighter.
Yeah,
craft.
exactly.
Yeah. Here, honey, fly this plane over there, but no guns. Years ago, I once ran into a lady, an older lady, and she told me that she wanted to be a WASP, but her family forbid her from doing it.
Wow.
It was such a sad story. I was like, oh, man. She goes, yes, I wanted to fly this, that. And my parents said, no. You know, but have you gone to the, so they since they restarted Jets Over DeLand, is that something else you might consider going
Yeah,
to?
no, I haven't been to. I mean, for me, the journey is it's a tough one. Like
Yeah.
even going down to the Turbines and Tumbleweeds event, it's 25 hours of driving. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's a
that's-
lot.
That's a lot of
So when
driving.
I go to an event like Joe and All, as an example, I mean, I fly there and we're just there to hang out and mingle and and basically meet people and take pictures and stuff. But yeah, for events to actually attend and fly at, it's tough because they're far. So
Totally understand.
yeah,
Well, hopefully we'll cross paths at maybe a Jonal or something.
absolutely. Cool.
Boy. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you later.
Take care.
Bye, guys.